You're listening to the best of Ruocco and Rothenberg on ESPNNewYork.com. You hear them every weekday beginning at noon, only on ESPN New York 98.7 FM.
My concern today is whether Geno Smith would be able to understand what time we are on.
I don't think he would.
Do you think he would be tuning in 3 hours from now?
Probably.
All right, so he'll get to hear his head coach then at 3 o'clock on the Michael Kay Show.
Yeah, I was at the movies. Yeah.
That's right.
That's right.
At the movies. You know, one of the things I continued to hear yesterday from people in regard to Geno Smith is, it was an honest mistake. He didn't realize the time difference. It was an honest mistake. Well, no kidding. It was an honest mistake. I don't think he was trying to miss the meeting on purpose.
Right. There was no malicious intent. He wasn't running around San Diego taunting Rex Ryan. Obviously, it was an honest mistake, but a mistake that's unacceptable, Ryan.
Right. See, that's the part of it that cracks me up. There were some people who laughed at anybody getting truly upset or angry over Geno Smith missing that meeting. Like, well, he didn't mean to. Well, of course he didn't mean to. Right. I mean, I know he didn't mean to miss the meeting, but he did miss the meeting. I didn't think he went there and said, you know what? I am going to miss the meeting.
I'm going to teach Rex, watch what I do to Rex Ryan. And then you get people like Ken Delmo. We love Jeff, and he's our producer of the show. But saying, and I don't even understand exactly what they did, but I guess the Jets kept everything on Eastern time or Eastern Standard Time.
Yeah, they did.
So they wouldn't even admit that they were out on the West Coast. But still, like, have you ever had – I mean, I've been to California many times. I don't understand how this is an issue.
Well, Rex shouldn't have done that, though.
Fine, but still, it's not like he was asking Geno to split the atom. He was just asking him to show up at a meeting on time.
I agree, and it's still completely unacceptable, and in no way does it justify what went on with Geno, because his number one priority should have been, when is my meeting? Okay, everything else falls around that.
Right.
I'll make sure I'm there on time. But it's silly to me to have everybody move to East Coast time when you're out there, because to me that's more confusing. Now I'm looking at my phone, which has already changed, and I'm like, wait, okay. And now I'm going to figure it out because of my job. I'm going to definitely make it where I need to be on time.
Or if it's that confusing as you're on your way to the movie, in quotes, Ryan, don't you speak to someone and say, you know what, listen, Steve, I gotta be honest, this is I don't understand. Where am I going and when am I going there?
Totally. It doesn't absolve Geno in any way. I just still think it was a dumb thing for Rex to employ. I don't understand that. Why you have to keep everybody on East Coast time when you're out there. Here was Rex Ryan asked if players have missed meetings on the West Coast before.
Yeah, we've had, again, sometimes, you warn guys about it, that, you stay on it. You actually set their clocks to East Coast time because you want to maintain that body, the whole thing with, your body clock as well. But he obviously was not there, in the hotel with that clock or whatever, and then obviously, he made a mistake.
Yeah, but here's the thing. You can keep your body clock right just by, going to bed a couple hours early or doing the math yourself. Like, the time is the time. If it's 8 o'clock out there, it's 8 o'clock out there.
Right.
Whether or not you want to pretend it's 11 or not is up to you. But it's 8 o'clock. That's the time it is.
I don't understand why there's so much time and effort and energy put into this. You're flying out there on Friday. You go to sleep. You wake up. It's not like these guys. They're not traveling like we have to travel, right? Or I should say I know you sometimes go in very, very stylish ways.
Well, with the Nets, I get to travel.
Right.
Nicely.
So you go on the private planes. But, normal people, they get to the airport hours in advance, and you find a connecting flight, and then you get your luggage.
Hey, I do that plenty.
Okay, so then we all do it.
Yeah.
This is not that. Right? I mean, not even a little bit. This is, okay, guys, show up at the airport. We'll scuttle you through our own personal security. You'll get on the private plane. You'll be treated to gourmet food. You'll get there. All your bags will be picked up and brought over to the hotel. This is not your normal travel. I can't even believe this is an issue. Like, 31-0 is embarrassing enough. Now we have to discuss that the quarterback couldn't comprehend when the team meeting was and the coach is messing with the clocks. The Jets, it always seems that they make matters that are bad, multiply it, and make it that much worse.
I would have never imagined that this is where we would be after they went to those back-to-back AFC championship games, that they would have been on a steep decline. Think about it. The year after, too, they're 8-5. From that moment till now, it has been a rocky road. And last year, it did finish on an uptick. no doubt. And it made me feel like they had some positive momentum going into this season. But the problem was you had positive momentum partly because you knew where the team needed to improve and you had the money to do it. That was part of the reason why.
And you didn't do it.
Exactly. And
how
that
about
was
this?
part of the reason why I was optimistic. And I never would have imagined, Dave, that they would have sat on that money and watched their weaknesses repeat themselves for another season after their owner had talked about before the season that they should be winning now. I would have never thought they would have done that.
Isn't that the definition of insanity? Doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results? So you basically gave Rex a lesser secondary and expected him to do better with it. Here, how about this now? You talked about last year, and I think you bring up a good point. They went 8-8, and they surprised us all, and we're not exactly sure how they did it. Is it one of the worst things that happened for this team that they had that modicum of success last year and didn't fall on their face and go 4-12 where we rip the Band-Aid off and we move in a different direction?
No, I don't think so, actually, because had they made the appropriate roster moves in the offseason, I think it would have been beneficial because I do think they went into this season with the right mindset and positive momentum, but they just don't have the horses they need to fulfill that. And now they've gotten lackadaisical. Quarterback and teammates missing a meeting. I'm sorry, that's not being focused enough on your job.
And one of 6 guys couldn't comprehend the time change and that they had to get back for the meeting. It's impressive. It's impressive that all these guys couldn't figure out when they had to be and where they had to be.
By the way, here was Geno on why he missed the meeting.
Yeah, I was at the movies.
Okay.
Yeah,
he was at the movies. And how did he get the times mixed up?
Well, we always get the schedules. We got emails and all that stuff. So mainly, I just counted down instead of counting up, and just got the times mixed up. So I guess you could say I was on East Coast time. We were actually on West Coast time. So that that was just my mishap. It really had nothing to do with the time zones. I'm aware of that, but for that moment, I got that mixed up.
I love this tweet from This Is DAM, who provides us with nice musical sound.
I thought it was damn.
Well, yeah, you could say that. I just say DAM because I think it's his initials.
Oh,
yeah,
like Devin.
Yeah, like if I had a Twitter handle that said this is RPR, you wouldn't say this is Ripper. You'd say
no, but
this is RPR.
Yeah, mine would be Durr.
That's pretty good.
Or DHR. How would you say Durr?
Durr.
Yeah.
That's how I would probably say it. But I don't know.
Durr.
Yeah, exactly.
Like John Houseman.
Yeah.
You know who John Houseman is?
Of course I know who John Houseman is. By the way, that's a good tease.
Yeah.
Later on, it's a Tuesday. And you know what Tuesday means? Jeff, tell the good people what Tuesday means because they want to know, Jeff. They want to know.
Tuesday's Pop Culture Challenge Day.
That's right, Pop Culture Challenge Day. So last week, Dave did not know what Snapchat was.
I almost knew. Like I doodling. I said you could doodle.
No, you didn't. Like it's not even close.
Yeah,
I almost did though.
You failed. You got a 59. Is what I would say. Like
would my parents be called?
No, your parents wouldn't be called, but the teacher would say to you like, Dave, you got to pick it up a little bit. So we give you that chance with a term later on to see if you know it. That happens later. But this is the tweet from This Is DAM, not This Is RPR or Durr. Quote, Geno didn't mean to throw that interception, end quote. Yeah, exactly. Right. Precisely right.
He didn't mean to miss the meeting. Right. He didn't mean to throw the interception. He probably didn't mean to lose the game, Ryan.
But the intentions don't really matter in this case. Hence the problem that we have. Oscar in the Bronx. Oscar, you're on the Maserati of Morris County hotline with Ruocco and Rothenberg.
Hey, Ruocco, I'm your number one fan because I remember when you took over for Seth, so I've been rocking with you.
Wow, dude.
Wow.
You've been rocking a long time. I appreciate that.
How's he doing, Oscar? Is he bringing it?
He's the bomb. He's everywhere now. I actually seen him evolve. He's great. He's great. He's been doing a great job.
Thank you, Oscar.
3 years?
Been on having a show now. It's like 4.5.
How about
5.
that? How am I doing, Oscar?
I like the sandwich bit. When you asked for the sandwich, they asked the guy eating the sandwich the other day.
You like that, huh? I like that, too. You know what? We'll remind you of that in just a moment because you deserve to hear that again, Oscar.
Okay, I wanted to ask you, there's a schedule, I was trying to ask the producer, I don't know if I got the line of questioning right. Did they schedule, like if they knew their schedule was going to be so rough, why they didn't go ahead and try to sign Revis for that 1 year, Cromartie, Antonio for 1 year? Did they know their schedule was going to be rough while they was making the changes?
But why would it matter what the schedule was like? If those guys made you better. Now here's the thing. Apparently there's some bad blood within the organization to Darrelle Revis, so I get that. But why Dimitri Patterson, Ryan, was the big offseason signing is beyond me.
You know what, though? In all honesty, I don't get the bad blood. You have to move beyond that. Now, if you don't think it's a wise economical decision for your franchise moving forward, that's one thing. But saying, we didn't get along before, no, that's not good enough for me. I'm sorry. If he wants to come back and he's an asset to your team, you make good on it. He also happens to be one of the best players in the franchise's history.
Agreed. But if they didn't like him and they didn't like the way he did business and there was bad blood, sometimes that comes into play.
Yeah, but it shouldn't for a winning organization.
I agree. But sometimes it does, and I'm sure you don't think that the Patriots have that ever?
If you're ESPN, bad blood can come into play because you're ESPN and no one person is bigger than the brand.
Right.
I don't care who it is at this company. It won't skip a beat losing them because it doesn't mean you want to lose people. People are good at their jobs. But the company's bigger than any one individual. We all get that, right? But you can afford to do that if you're ESPN. You can't afford to do that if you're the Jets.
I think you can.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think it's great practice, but if there's one guy that you don't feel did you right or you remember when they had those meetings up at the diner and he always wanted more money, if you look at Darrelle Revis and say, we don't like what he was and we want to move in a different direction, fine. But when Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie comes here, sign him. When Vontae Davis is available as a free agent,
by the way,
sign him.
I called that
he
Colts
was tremendous
Ravens game.
in that game.
I called Colts Ravens the other day on
Sunday,
ESPN Radio. Vontae Davis was terrific in that game. Truly terrific. He made Steve Smith look so pedestrian in that contest.
Steve Smith Sr.
Steve Smith Sr.
Yes.
That's right. He added the senior. Do we know why he added the senior?
Probably had a child.
He did have a child.
Yeah.
Is that why?
Well, I would think.
Are you eating a sandwich?
No, I'm not. Oh, by the way, was that did you just hit what was the name drop there?
No, that was the correct answer one. Because you guys were right about Steve Smith.
Oh, got you. All right, yeah. What's the name drop noise that you play for me?
The name drop?
Right, yeah.
Is it this?
Oh, yeah. That's a heinous noise, by the way.
Well, then don't drop names.
I guess I'm not going to be dropping names because I want to avoid that. There we go. Chris in Manhattan. Chris, you're on the Maserati of Morris County hotline.
Thank you for taking my call, guys. I always enjoy your show. I just can't stand the Geno talk about meetings and this and that, because it has nothing to do with anything.
Oh, it doesn't. So did you think the Jets looked prepared on Sunday afternoon, Chris?
You know what? Again, you're talking to the wrong person because I thought they lost the season in the off season.
Okay, I agree, Chris, but it doesn't help matters to miss a meeting, does it?
No, it never does, and there's no excuse for it. But I'm not going to let that overshadow what the biggest problems are.
No, but here's the we have I agree. I agree with what you're saying, Chris. Don't get me wrong. I totally agree with you. Their bigger problem is not what happened with the meeting, but this is you're falling into a pit that people often do, as if one aspect of a problem is not the biggest aspect of the problem, then we have to ignore it and not address it. It's the same way I talk about criticizing somebody like Eli Manning or Tom Coughlin on occasion. Well, that's a micro criticism. That doesn't mean on the macro you're not going to want to hug them for the rest of eternity for what they've done for the franchise. You are, and they deserve that.
This is a results-oriented business.
Right.
And the results have not been there for the Jets, and this is just something that gets added. What did we hear all last week with the Niners and Jim Harbaugh? The players don't like him.
Yeah.
They don't want to play for him, right? They don't get along with him. Well, what did they do on Sunday?
They win.
They went out, and last week they could have easily quit on that game when they allowed, 3 special teams and defensive touchdowns to the Eagles, but they found their way back and they fought. And they did the same thing this week against the Chiefs where they trailed in this game. They're without their probably 2 best defensive players, but they find their way back and they fight. And that's what good teams do. So all I've heard for the second he started here with Rex Ryan is the players love him. They would run through a wall for him. Well, you know what? That wall was in San Diego this weekend, and they didn't even go near it, Ryan.
And that is the problem. And that is why that game was a microcosm of the issues. You had a team that should have been thirsty to get back out on that field and make right for all the wrong they did in back-to-back winnable home games. And instead, not only did they not show up, but they weren't even preparing the way you need to in order to win that game. That's a problem.
And for everyone that says it's not, Damian Woody sat with us yesterday. A svelte Damian Woody. A
very
good-looking
svelte
Damian Woody. And we said, what would you be like if that was your quarterback? And he said he would be incensed that the team leader missed the meeting the day before. That's your job.
With his job on the line, by the way.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? Your boss has an eye on you and your performance, and you miss the meeting the next day?
No, it's not good.
It's not
Even
good.
if your boss doesn't have his eye on you at all. How many meetings that you were supposed to come to at ESPN have you missed?
None.
Right,
None.
because you take your job seriously and you're prepared.
And you know what? Some people might think, oh, you're making too big of a deal of it. You guys are doing typical talk show. I don't do that. I'm not that person. I don't care. We'll talk about something else rather than manufacture something. This is a big deal. It's just one problem of many for the organization, but the timing of it makes it very relevant. Your season was somewhat on the line. It's a big game for you, and you don't have the kind of care and focus that you need.
And if they lost this game 23-20 on a late field goal, I thought the Chargers were a better team. I thought San Diego was going to win this game. To go in there and get bombarded and embarrassed and look like the laughingstock of the league, you have to be incensed if you're a Jets fan.
Hey, Thursday on MSG Network, the Rangers open the season in St. Louis as they take on the Blues. Live coverage begins at 7:30 with Visa Rangers game night. Then the puck drops at 8. The Rangers season opener Thursday night on MSG Network. 1-800-919-3776, the telephone number on the Maserati of Morris County hotline. You know, I was listening to Mike and Mike, and it made me think of a question I wanted to ask you.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to do that now.
Good, I like that.
All right, very good. And by the way,
are you eating a sandwich?
You're listening to the best of Ruocco and Rothenberg on ESPNNewYork.com. You hear them every weekday beginning at noon, only on ESPN New York 98.7 FM.
Ruocco and Rothenberg with you on ESPN New York 98.7 FM. By the way, what do we think? Let's just get a consensus real quick.
Consensus.
Here, guys. Yes, on grabbing dreads. Are you okay with this?
Nope, and it's not the first time it happened.
Yeah.
That's why I need to cut their hair.
No. So you have a problem with the guy with the hair.
But how about Garcon?
Yeah, I'm talking about, do you have a problem with Garcon?
You know what they call it? It's part of the uniform.
Yeah, it is. It's happened before because people have grabbed Palomalu's hair.
Yeah.
People have pulled tracks or separate or strands from other people.
I've seen somebody be out of bounds because the hair, like when they were diving to make a catch, the hair. I'm trying to think how this happened. I think the hair hit the white paint. And
that's considered out of bounds,
yeah,
I guess, of any part of your body, right?
Yeah.
I'm not this ultra super conservative guy, but the name shouldn't be able to cover the hair shouldn't be able to cover the name on the back.
You see that all the time.
I have no problem with Garcon pulling on the hair to try to get separation.
I think it's a good tactic, right?
Yeah.
Kelvin Benjamin, I don't know who he is because Travis Benjamin. Now, all the Josh Cribbs used to have it like that.
Right.
Know Richard Sherman because you just know who he is. But how many times have you watched a game this year and you're
Chris
like
Ivory?
Chris Ivory. Well, yeah, but you know who he is also because it's the Jets. It's the running back. But there are many games when I'll watch it like, man, I wish this guy would cut his hair. I don't even know who he is.
Who is this
guy?
Oh, yeah.
Actually, there was a receiver I was calling the game this weekend who was, I think it was Kamar Aiken maybe, who had he had dreads. You're trying to figure, who is that? And you can't,
And if they're long enough, you can barely see the number. While you guys are talking matters, her suit. I mean, I'm tired of seeing the House of David All-Stars here in every major league team. Guys, we shave.
It's a bit much, isn't it?
I mean, it makes you appreciate teams like the Yankees and the Cincinnati Reds that have no facial hair. I mean, last year with the Boston Red Sox, it was sickening, but now it's like every team in Major League Baseball has at least 2 or 3 guys that have a forest growing on their face.
Grooming and eating here on ESPN New York 98.7 FM.
Job embarrassed himself with that.
Well, that thing made him look homeless.
It did. It was disgusting. Also, I don't know about it. Like, anytime I've ever been, messing with a girl and had some scruff. Like, they always complain about.
What?
I'm just saying, if you're interacting
like you have, Dave.
with a girl.
What do you mean messing with the girl and then you have some scruff?
No, I'm saying you have scruff. There's a lot of times like, that like cuts their face. Like,
now I understand.
If it looks good, they'll deal with it because, some women like scruff.
Well, scruff is fine.
But here's my thing. If that causes pain, what does one of these, thick, burly bushes on their face do?
That's nice and soft. And by the way,
is it? I don't know.
I'm reaching the point where my wife is going to invite me to shave, but I can never cut off my mustache.
Well, that's different. That's a trademark of Bill Daughtry.
It makes you distinguished, Bill.
The mustache does?
Yeah, we look at you and we think that's.
I only keep it because she likes it. Because every now and then I got pictures of me without this.
Is that pretty much why we do anything?
Yeah.
Because of what our wives like.
Happy wife.
I mean, I don't have one, but yes.
You'll tell your days.
You
come.
will, and
Yeah.
you will cater to. When I met my wife, I had a goatee. And she said, no.
That's got to go. Yeah,
she said, you will do one of two things.
I grew one a couple of years ago. She says, is there stuff growing in there? You got stuff hiding in there? It's got to go.
She said, you'll do one of two things. You will be clean-shaven or you will grow a beard. And I said, I will grow a beard.
Very good.
And that's why I have the beard.
And Ruocco, you make too much money to be single, so your day is coming. Know that. You have a big watch on. Your day is coming, big fella.
We're trying. Ruocco and Rothenberg with you. Bill Daughtry hanging out on ESPN New York, 98.7 FM. Gary in the car. Gary, you're on the Maserati of Morris County hotline.
Hey, good afternoon, man. How you doing?
What's up, Gary?
What's going on, Gary?
Trying not to be too politically incorrect here. I think the bigger problem with the Rex Ryan Geno situation being on time is Rex knows that he literally is dealing with very unintelligent players and has to actually implement that situation to keep everybody on Eastern Standard Time.
Gary.
Oh, yeah,
but Gary, I'm not.
Gary.
Gary. Do we think the Jets have a dumber crop of players than other teams in the league? I don't know. Maybe they do, but let's be honest, okay? It does not take a grade A level of intelligence to figure out time on the West Coast. This is not something that is necessary at all if you are, 5 years old or older. So let's not act like, the Jets players are so dumb that we need to end up, changing the tune.
You know what you could do, and this conversation is now kind of jumping the shark and getting ridiculous, but you know what you could do? You could have him meet and say, listen, in 3 hours from right now, we have the meeting. Set your clock and count down from 3 hours and make sure you're back here by the time that thing hits zero.
By the way, earlier today I was listening to Mike and Mike.
Yes.
And they were having a conversation about Jay Cutler and just where they're at with him and how he's kind of a fascinating quarterback because he's somebody who always swings back and forth on the pendulum of trust, and his ability's tantalizing, but he makes so many mistakes.
He's maddening.
Yeah, it is very – what did you just say?
Maddening.
Yeah, is that what you said? I mean, I know that's what you were aiming for. I don't know if that's what you actually
said he's
got.
Maddening.
I think we're going to go back and check the tape. I think you were inventing words.
He said maddening.
Did he? All
yeah.
Right. I'm going to check the tape.
You're that desperate to embarrass me that any word I say you're going to jump on?
I was very nice to you yesterday, was I
not?
You were,
and you said a word which was hyperbolic or something, and I called you on it.
Hyperbolizing.
Hyperbolizing. And I said, I don't know if that's a word, and it turns out that it was.
Yes.
I gave you credit for it.
Yes.
I say maddening, and you act like
I think you had an extra D at the end. And I'm going to...
Maddening D?
This is what I do. I need to try and, poke you when I can. That's how we operate here. Right. But they were using Jay Cutler as the impetus for a question about quarterbacks in this league that I found very interesting. And I have a specific question I want to ask you about a few guys in this league that right now I think they're at a little bit of a crossroads when it comes to trust.
Okay. Can I ask you as well?
Yeah, you can. So let's ask each other as friends who don't
correct every word the other one says.
That's right.
Yes.
Because that's just not the cool thing to do. Let's do that next. And let's also put your pop culture knowledge to the test.
And you don't think I'm going to win today?
I don't. No.
If this was Vegas?
Yeah.
And like one of the big odds makers set the odds on me getting the question right today, what do you think they'd set it at?
I think they'd have it at like 15-1 that you don't.
15-1?
I'm just trying to make sure people win some decent money.
So this would be like a Villanova over Georgetown level upset.
No. It wouldn't be that
15-1 is monstrous.
This would be like my alma mater, Fordham, beating Fordham. So, no, I can't pronounce words.
I wasn't going to jump all
over
you.
And that's a little bit more, current to my lexicon than maddening. Fordham beating the 25th ranked team in the country at home. That's what I would say this is
in
like
Rose Hill.
Yeah, which is an amazing gym. So they win a game, sometimes unexpected games there. But still, you wouldn't expect that.
You wouldn't expect it, but if it happened, you wouldn't lead the news with it.
Right.
Okay.
So we'll see. Will we lead the news with Dave's answers next? Plus, we get to ask each other important questions about quarterbacks on the brink of going one way or another.
You're listening to the best of Ruocco and Rothenberg on ESPNNewYork.com. You hear them every weekday beginning at noon, only on ESPN New York 98.7 FM.
I'm going to move us on to the question I wanted to ask you in regard to quarterback.
But I'm already annoyed.
I know.
Because it's a class. Because Bill's a nice guy. This is a classless thing to do. But go. Get me off the ledge. Go.
All right. So I want to throw some quarterbacks at you, Dave.
The baby. Go ahead.
And I want you to tell me where you sit on the pendulum of trust, okay?
Mm-hmm.
Jay Cutler.
None. He's as talented as anybody. That's a good football team. There are certain players and teams that find ways to lose. That's Jay Cutler. Anytime there's a big spot, that's the amazing thing that the Jets couldn't make him make that big turnover a couple Monday nights ago. That's what he does. Big spot, Jay Cutler. Against Green Bay, he did it. Against Carolina, he did it. That's not a 2-3 football team. Yet they sit here at 2-3.
He also has an offensive-minded coach. He has a terrific running back who helps him in the passing game as much as any back in this league, plus is very good on the ground. And he has 2 outstanding receivers and a really good tight end.
Is there a better foursome across the board than Alshon Jeffrey, Brandon Marshall, Martellus Bennett, and Matt Forte?
Who was the second receiver in Dallas?
Terrence Williams?
Probably not. You probably
and
don't.
Jason Witten is not Martellus Bennett now.
No, and the tight end in Green Bay, you would say, is not.
No, it's Andrew Corliss.
Yeah,
right. No,
he's not worthy of it.
Denver, the running back's nothing.
Yep. No, you're right. You imagine what Peyton Manning would do with Alshon Jeffrey, Brandon Marshall.
Well, his receivers are pretty good there, but no, I have none.
His
no
receivers
confidence.
are very good, but they're still not. His number 2 is not Alshon Jeffrey.
No, I don't think there's a better number 2 in football than Alshon Jeffrey.
So,
I think you can make that argument.
Look. How many years has Jay Cutler been in the league now?
Oh, it's got to be 8, right?
8 or 9, right? I'm sorry. No way I trust him at all.
All right.
To me, there's no debating that. I cannot trust him. His talent is tantalizing. I don't trust him.
I got one for you.
Okay.
I'm going to stay in the NFC North.
Okay.
Matthew Stafford.
That's a good one. The difference between Stafford and Cutler is Stafford just has a smaller sample size. If Stafford was in year 9, I would say, no, I don't trust him. I still wonder about how the entire team sort of had a culture of not being trustworthy. And their head coach, I sort of think, lent himself to that in the past. So I want to get through this year. But if you're asking me at this moment, see, for me, I think the verdict is in on Jay Cutler. At this moment, I don't trust Matt Stafford, but I don't think the verdict is quite in on him yet. But the thing that drives me mad is I've seen him operate the 2-minute drill, doing some of the most boneheaded clock things I've ever seen from a quarterback in the NFL, not moving with urgency, and those kind of things just make me think you don't get it.
Yeah. No, I agree. I have no confidence in Matthew Stafford. I have no confidence in Jay Cutler. I think you need big-time quarterbacks to win in this league, and these guys find ways to lose. They were up 14-3 at home against the Bills. Against the Bills and Kyle Orton. And they found a way to lose that game. Bad.
That's bad. Very bad. Let me throw Andy Dalton to you.
No. None. Never have. Never have.
Do you trust him less than the other 2?
No. I would go, if I had to rank those 3, I trust Stafford the most, Dalton second, and Cutler third. But Andy Dalton, and I'm not blaming him for this Sunday because the Patriots went out there with an attitude they were going to beat up no matter who they played. But Andy Dalton, the game I can't get out of my mind is you're home against San Diego in the postseason, and you throw, 3 or 4, Bill? 4 interceptions? You were awful in that game against a team that you were better than.
He has won a lot.
How many
in the regular season?
How many playoff wins does he have?
He won that counted.
Well, I mean, look,
how many playoff wins does he have?
He has none.
Okay.
But hold on. He also has... He doesn't have a playoff win.
No.
Who?
Jeff?
No.
Yeah. No.
Dalton?
No, he has not.
He coughed it up against Buffalo a couple of years ago with the great Ryan Fitzpatrick.
He has none. Don't listen to Jeff if he told you he has.
Yeah, but here's the thing. The one thing I'd say about his regular season success, though, why it carries a different kind of weight for me than some other quarterbacks might, Cincinnati was a losing organization that lost year after year. And since he's been there, all they've done is won and go to the playoffs. The Bengals making the playoffs
but
3 years.
They're talented, Ryan.
They are talented.
If you take the quarterback off and you match them up position by position against every other team, they're right there with any club in the NFL.
But let's not act like he hasn't performed well in the regular season, because he has been a good regular season quarterback.
And what is he, 0-3 in the playoffs?
He's 0-3 in the playoffs. That's not good. I agree. Marvin Lewis has also made some asinine decisions during those 3 games as well. I don't fully trust him, but I trust him more than Jay Cutler. I definitely trust him more than Cutler. Cutler, I have a decade worth of evidence of why I shouldn't trust him.
Okay, let me give you another one.
Okay.
Again, not huge sample size.
Yeah.
I think kind of unknown in what he is. Cam Newton.
No, I like Cam Newton.
Yeah, you go with him?
The only thing I'd say that is interesting and a mark against him is him and Steve Smith did not have a good relationship, and Steve Smith did not like the way Cam would not throw him the ball, would throw him the ball, whatever it was. Things broke down between them to the point that I know at least from one camp, felt like Cam might have been freezing him out in some ways or wasn't utilizing him properly, however you want to go with the terminology. And then you see what Steve Smith's been able to do in Baltimore already this year. But Cam never has had great weapons there.
No.
He hasn't had great weapons in the running game, even though those guys have been there forever. They're not very good. And he hasn't had great weapons in the passing game. So until I see him with weapons, I still feel pretty good about Cam Newton.
And the jury's still out on him, right?
Yeah,
his third year. He won the division last year. Granted, they lost. But
Yeah.
I think they might have lost to the best team in football in the Niners in the postseason. I'll agree with you on Cam Newton.
And that's a little quarterback trust pendulum scale fun with Ruocco and Rothenberg.
Is that what we call it?
I think so.
Quarterback trust pendulum scale fun.
I think so. With Ruocco and Rothenberg on ESPN New York 98.7 FM.
You're listening to the best of Ruocco and Rothenberg on ESPNNewYork.com. You hear them every weekday beginning at noon, only on ESPN New York 98.7 FM.
By the way, Jeff completely took advantage of the new employee here.
Oh, I know he did.
Did you hear about this, Bill?
Tell me about it.
It was disgusting.
Jeff's a bad guy.
It was disgusting.
He rips my trade, which actually
just
worked
wait
out
till you
pretty
hear
good
this.
for us.
So he
Wouldn't
comes in
apologize
today
for
and he
that,
says to
but
me,
anyway.
Dave, as a friend, should I make this fantasy trade where he acquires LaShawn McCoy for garbage?
Oh, now
For
I get
garbage.
it.
He traded Shane Vereen, Pierre Thomas. What else did you do there, Jeff? What other?
There was nobody else worth
He got Vereen, Pierre Thomas, Vincent Jackson, and Ellington. Andre Ellington.
So he got. I mean, Ellington is.
Ellington,
I'll
I'll cut you a little slack.
How does he even have the roster space for all those
Can
guys?
I get this guy in my league?
Right.
Yeah.
So Cole, who seems like a nice guy, but is bordering on you fill in the blank, right? So Jeff approaches me and says, Dave, should I make this trade? I go, wait a minute. I'm in this league as well. I'm going to contact Cole and see if he'll make this trade with me. Like, I'll give him more. Jeff gets furious. How dare you? I asked you as a friend. You can't undercut me. Listen, this is about winning cash, baby. I don't care. You know, friendship goes only so far. And I contact Cole. Can I do this? No. He takes that trade that Jeff asks him. No wonder the guy's 0-5.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. He continues practices
Wait a
like
minute,
that.
Jeff is 0-5 in this league?
No, Cole is 0-5.
Cole is 0-5.
The person who just
Yeah.
raked over the coals is 0-5.
Yeah.
Ruocco and
That should be his
Rothenberg.
name. Raked over the coal.
You know what? That is his nickname.
See, we
now.
help him,
Dave,
even if he doesn't help himself.
Raked over the
I want
Cole
you to throw
Patterson.
me the question you had about the Giants in a moment, but first, let's get up to date from Bill Daughtry.
Brought to you by Ocean City Golf. Save your long drive for the golf course. Ocean City, Maryland is a short drive away. 17 championship courses and miles of beach. Book the ultimate golf getaway today by visiting OceanCityGolf.com or by calling 800-4OC-GOLF. Game 4 in both NLDS. Cardinals with a 2-1 series lead after last night's 3-1 win over the Dodgers in St. Louis. Clayton Kershaw and Shelby Miller, they're the starters at Busch Stadium. Nationals stayed alive with a 4-1 win at San Francisco as Gio Gonzalez and Ryan Vogelsong at AT&T Park. The NLDS doubleheader will be on ESPN New York 98.7 FM following the Michael K. Show. Monday Night Football, Washington hung around, made it interesting against Seattle, but the champs prevailed. 27-17. Good news, Giant fans. Just a sprain for Rashard Jennings. He'll be sidelined for a few weeks, but will not need surgery. Geno Smith has apologized for missing Saturday's team meeting in San Diego. Rex Ryan wouldn't disclose what the discipline would be, but he did say he never considered benching the second-year quarterback. Smith will get the start for Sunday's game against the Denver Broncos. Now back to Ruocco and Rothenberg.
So, Dave,
Yes.
first off, my dad just sent me a text. Is Dalton like Kershaw? Which is kind of, or is Kershaw like Dalton? Which is interesting.
The opposite, though.
Thinking about tonight. Well, I mean, look, Kershaw is infinitely more dominant in the regular season than Dalton, but Kershaw's postseason numbers are not good at all.
No.
Just like Dalton's postseason numbers are not good at all. It's a different scale
the
of
reason
player.
I can't agree with that is because you watch Clayton Kershaw in the regular season, and he's brilliant.
Different stratosphere.
Right.
Both players' games to this point have gone down in the postseason.
Correct.
But they've gone down from different places. One's the tippy top of the baseball mountain. The other one's about, 3/4 of the way up the NFL mountain.
You need Kershaw to perform like Sandy Koufax. You need Andy Dalton to manage the game, and he hasn't even been able to do that in the postseason.
This is a good baseball night tonight. You have two game fours. Kershaw going on 3 days rest to try and save the Dodgers season.
What do you think?
I think
done?
I think the Dodgers are going to win tonight.
Oh, I have no confidence in him.
Really?
No, how can I?
Well,
why would I have confidence in a guy that blew a 6-1 lead?
That's a tough one to bounce back
at
from,
home.
too.
At home. I mean, his ERA on the year was, 1.7?
Yeah. And he has a 6-run lead, and they lose.
And he can't close.
By the way,
forget about closing out. 3 runs in an inning, and you're fine there.
And he had given up 1 hit that entire game through 6 innings. That was one of the more shocking results in an inning that I have seen in a long time, because I never, ever thought he'd lose that game at all, never mind in that fashion. And then in the Giants game, you have a game 4 tonight where, are we going to look back on the Madison Bumgarner throw to third base and say that was the moment it turned for the Nationals? Which, Buster Posey put it on himself, to his credit, saying he told Bumgarner to throw to third.
Still got to score runs if you're the Giants.
Yeah, but nobody's scoring runs in that series.
Nobody's scoring runs in the postseason. Outside of Game 3 of the Royals-Angels series, you're not seeing a lot.
I got to tell you, though, and I love the baseball playoffs. I really do. Because and Colin talks about this all the time, and he's right. The same things that can make baseball tedious throughout the regular season are what makes it great in the postseason.
Well, it's the minutia and the second guessing, which during July 19th you're like, oh,
because there's no stakes.
Do I have to sit here and and you're right, and the NFL, the stakes every game every week are much higher than they are in baseball. When you get here and you look at some of the storylines, I mean, this is great stuff. Now, maybe in New York we don't eat it up because the Mets aren't here and the Yankees aren't here, especially the Yankees, because the Yankee fans have become accustomed to their team being here. But the Royal story is great.
It is.
The fact that Ned Yost seemingly can't manage his way out of a paper bag and sits here in the American League Championship Series. You got Buck Showalter. You look at the Orioles, and they don't even have a star pitcher yet. They move on. They sweep. They get by the last 3 Cy Young winners.
I'm interested in all of these teams that are remaining, except
the Nets.
No. The Cardinals. I'm sick of the Cardinals.
I love the Cardinals.
I'm sick of them.
Oh, it's such a great baseball
I'm sick of the Cardinals. But Dodgers.
I don't like the Nats.
You know what? I like the Nationals. But what their crowd did in that Game 2, the 18-inning game.
You can't get over that one, huh?
Yeah, it makes me feel no guilt about rooting against them and for Joe Panic and the Giants. That's right.
Hang on.
For it.
For what?
For Joe Panic and the Giants.
Drop that name again.
Take it home for Hopewell,
There's
baby.
that name.
Go get him tonight, Joey. By the way, both games will be on our air tonight. You got a nice slate coming up. Rex Ryan at 3.
Yeah.
Then at 5, you have the first playoff game. You have Kershaw and the Dodgers against the Cardinals trying to stave off elimination. And then you have Game 4 of the other series right after that.
So you think Michael and Don press him on where Geno was?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think they'll press him on anything relevant. Let me put it that way.
Do you care? Would you actually like to know, yes or no, what movie he went to see?
Yeah. But
I was at the movies.
It doesn't matter.
I'd like to know.
Yeah, what movie were you at? Yeah, that's what some people said, but then he wouldn't say it. I don't know. It's a little weird. Ask me the question you said about the Giants and these next 6 games.
Okay. Giants are sitting here at 3-2. I'm going to offer you, over the next 6, 3-3 on the table right now. So they go 6-5 into the final stretch of the season. The games are at the Eagles.
Okay.
At the Cowboys.
Okay.
Home to the Colts.
Mm-hmm.
At the Seahawks. Home to the Niners. And home to the Cowboys. On the dotted line, my friend, would you sign for 3-3 over the next 6?
Normally I would not, because that is signing for mediocrity. And I'm not about that, nor are you, Dave. But if you look at the rest of their schedule and the winnable games, Jaguars, Titans, Rams, Redskins, and then the Eagles, and you just think about that, at Seattle probably should be a loss. You have, 3 divisional games in that against good teams you just mentioned to me.
2 on the road.
San Fran and Indy are both difficult. Is San Fran in San Fran or is it home?
No, it's here.
Oh, yeah, it's home, November 16th. I think they're going to beat the Colts.
Okay.
I think they're going to split the first 2 division games, but I think they'll lose at Seattle, and then it's about...
You know they're going to lose at Seattle.
I would... My problem with taking 3-3 is then I have them going 1-2 in those division games, because I think they're going to beat San Francisco at home.
So you don't think they can split with the Eagles and Cowboys over the next 2?
I do.
And then beat the Cowboys here?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
But I think they're going to beat San Francisco and Indy.
So you're not taking 3-3?
I'm not taking it. I was going to before the show. I told you I would, because that sets them up to go where they need to go to get 10 wins, maybe even 11. But I'm not going to take it, Dave. You know what I am going to take?
What?
You listening to this.
What is this?
This was The Rock Last night at Barclays Center, he got the entire crowd to do a Derek Jeter chant. How about that? So now they're chanting his name in pro wrestling as well. Is that not amazing?
It's fixed. Who cares?
You know what?
It's like theater.
I'm sorry.
Dop of the cap to Derek Jeter. How great was it? Tell me you don't respect the fact that Ben Affleck would not wear the Yankees hat in Gone Girl.
Totally respect it.
Love it.
Also respect that you and I will be back in 23 hours.
So do I.
On ESPN New York.
You're listening to the best of Ruocco and Rothenberg on ESPNNewYork.com. You hear them every weekday beginning at noon, only on ESPN New York 98.7 FM.
Oh, total trouble. Jimmy Johnson, I believe. Around, headed for the inside wall. Right side, all beaten up on the 88 car. Joey Logano wins it at Kansas. The contender round.
12 nations battle it out. 3 races.
Kansas, Charlotte, Talladega.
We're talking chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Fate and skill will decide who moves forward.
4 will be eliminated. 8 will advance.
The second race in the contender round. 12 nations battle, 8 advance. The Bank of America 500 at Charlotte. Saturday at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on ABC.
You're listening to the best of Ruocco and Rothenberg on ESPNNewYork.com. You hear them every weekday beginning at noon, only on ESPN New York 98.7 FM. Ryan is cool.
Everybody is your good friend.
I have a lot of friends. I'm cool like that. I'm cool.
Dave thinks he's cool.
Hey, do you have the email of the commissioner of the guy that runs our fantasy football league?
Are you in loser denial or something?
We put Dave to the test in Ruocco and Rothenberg's Pop Culture Challenge. Let's go.
Let's go.
Today's pop culture term is emoji.
All right, Dave. All right. Today's pop culture term, let me tell you one more time.
Today's pop culture term is emoji.
And you guys have no confidence that I will get this, correct?
Well, your face made me think that I should have no confidence because you just shot off a face like what? Like you had never even heard the word before.
No, I'm going to take a stab at this.
You can't Google things.
I'm not. You come over here. I'm serious. Move around here and see what I'm looking at. Go. All right?
You're looking at Twitter. Okay.
Is that fair?
You can't, yeah, but don't update your interactions. I don't want you getting help from the audience.
I will put my hands in the air. I will not look. I will not look at all.
You look at me and nothing else.
Okay.
All right.
Is that like phone a friend on Millionaire?
Yeah.
I wish I could.
You can't.
I think it's the little icons. The little icons that you put at like the end of whatever. You do it on Facebook, you do it on Twitter, you do it on a text, like the smiles, the kisses. That's where I'm going with.
You know what?
I got it.
He's right.
I'm a genius.
He is right. He is right.
I knew it.
Nicely done.
Candemo gave me no chance of getting it. Ruocco said, "Oh, you're not going to get it." Well, Bill, who
I didn't say anything.
Yeah, but they said Daughtry has a better chance of getting it than you. I'm vindicated.
What just happened? What just happened?
You know what?
I'm a pop culture genius.
Your face, though, boy, you got a good poker face. Your face looked like a man who literally not only didn't know the term, but had never heard it before in your life.
I knew it.
Have you ever used one?
Huh. I've seen them.
You really?
I don't know. I'm not that guy. You know what? I'll use a smiley face on the. Yes, I have.
Yeah, I mean, the emojis are even a little bit more than just the smiley faces. There's like, there's like a little woman in a red dress that everybody loves. But like
footballs, I've had footballs sent to me.
You know what? You got it right.
I got it right.
You got it right, Jeff. We got to get that.
Jeff, you know what I want from you? I want an apology. I want an on-air, Dave. You'll never get this. You go. You apologize to me now.
I was wrong. I am sorry that I doubted you.
How dare you doubt me?
You know what? From now on, when somebody wants an apology, can we get the Tom Hagen drop of this committee owns an apology? That's every time I hear somebody say I want an apology.
Now, you know what we're going to start to do. Jeff and I have had this discussion off air. Ron, you're not even privy to it.
This is going to be good.
Okay? We're going to, every Tuesday, we're going to grill me with questions like that. Pop culture. And we're going to grill you with a history question.
Ooh, yes. I like it.
Yes.
Very good. Do we have one ready today?
No. Actual culture question, not pop culture.
Right. An actual history question.
Bill, did you know emoji?
I use them all the time.
See? And I knew Bill would know.
My favorite one is 2 thumbs up.
I've seen that as well.
Fan form.
You ever done the Facebook Messenger has a thumbs up that almost swallows the whole screen? I mean, it is alarming. It's like a thumb right.
I'm told don't use the Facebook Messenger. Don't download it on my phone. Is that wrong?
I don't know anything about it.
Who tells you that?
Have you not heard that? You've never seen the posts on Facebook? I don't know. They gather all sorts of information from that. Don't do
really?
it. Yeah.
Well, once a company goes public, that's generally what happens.
So you feel confident in me downloading that?
I don't feel comfortable in anything privacy-wise on the internet. But I just think. Anyway.
By the way, you guys threw out Snapchat to me last week. Right. I don't like any part of that. I'm glad I didn't
got
know
on
it. No, I would never go on it. That's dangerous. Why would anybody do that? You know what that is? That is set up for 16-year-old boys, that thing.
Yeah, I agree.
Right?
Yeah, sure.
But
it's
do that.
pop culture. I mean, people use it.
And I got it wrong. You know what? I'm proud to have gotten it wrong.
You're 1 for 2. Now, we're going to do this every Tuesday.
Yes.
Let's see, by the end of the year, the calendar year, by January 1st, do you think you will have a passing grade, which we'll say is better than 60% right?
Yes.
All right.
And I think the questions were fair. I think Snapchat was a good one. I think emoji was a good one. I think this is exactly where you should go.
We will come up with a bet where if you finish 60% or higher, I have to, because I don't think you'll finish that high.
You don't think I can get 6 out of 10 of these?
No. So I will have to,
something.
Yeah, and you have to something.
Okay.
And we'll come up with that.
Good.
Yeah.
I will win, and I will be victorious.
All right.
And I will send you little emojis as I am.
You're listening to the best of Ruocco and Rothenberg on ESPNNewYork.com. You hear them every weekday beginning at noon, only on ESPN New York 98.7 FM.
Out to trouble. Jimmy Johnson, I believe. Around, headed for the inside wall. Right side, all beaten up on the 88 car. Joey Logano wins it at Kansas. The contender round.
12 nations battle it out, 3 races.
Kansas, Charlotte, Talladega.
We're talking chase for the NASCAR Sprint Cup. Fate and skill will decide who moves forward.
4 will be eliminated, 8 will advance.
The second race in the contender round. 12 nations battle, 8 advance. The Bank of America 500 at Charlotte. Saturday at 7 Eastern, 4 Pacific on ABC.